Welcome to Do Not Disturb. On this show, we'll be reading a compilation of scary stories that were better left unheard. First story. This is not a suicide note. 3 months ago, I learned of my uncle's passing. We weren't particularly close, but he left me one of his houses in the will. I was touched, but just wanted to sell it off. I am a fairly new father of twin girls and didn't need another thing to manage right now. To speed up the process, I decided to travel across the country to live in the house until a sale was assured. My job just requires a laptop and a phone, so I was approved to work remotely for the time being. Unfortunately, my wife had to stay at her job, so I had to come alone. At first, I treated it as a mini vacation. I had hoped it would only last a week, but the process was more involved than I thought. I had a realtor taking care of most things, but after a month, I'm still here. I noticed things going wrong right away. Stuff was never where I last placed it. I'd see shadows out of the corner of my eye. I've lost track of time constantly. I thought it was caused by stress, loneliness, except for the few times the realtor came by with prospective buyers. The house was the quietest place I'd have ever been in. Before I completely lost my mind, the neighbor came by with a dog. She was an elderly woman who explained that she had been dog sitting with my uncle was in the hospital. Now that I was here, she thought I should take up Buster, the golden retriever. I thought the neighbor might have been forgetful because she seemed to think of my uncle had just passed away last week. Either way, I fell in love with Buster, and his presence was exactly what I needed. I even thought it would be a tremendous present to bring to the home to my girls. I just hoped my wife would feel the same way. However, even the dog could tell something was wrong with the house. Buster accepted his new living arrangements pretty quickly, but would never willingly go upstairs. This was all right with me at the time. I thought it would make it easier to keep track of him. Sorry guys, I'm scared looking at the back of my, I'm looking around, I'm I thought it would make it easier to keep track of him. Then Buster disappeared. Literally 1 second, he was standing right in front of me. I was opening the treat jar to give him a snack. My eyes left him for just a moment to put the jar back, and then he was gone. I ran through the house calling his name. The kitchen was connected to the living room, and on the other end was the master bedroom and study. The other end of the kitchen led to the dining room, which was connected to the entrance hall. That also led into the living room and stairs to the second floor. After walking upstairs, you had a choice of left or right. Along the balcony that overlooked the living room on one side and the entrance on the other. Going left led immediately to a guest room and game room. Going right led to 2 more guest rooms and a bathroom at the end of the hall. I looked in every room and had to accept that somehow the dog made it outside, even though there was no doggy door and every door and window had been closed and locked. So I searched the surrounding neighborhood for another hour before giving up. I was thinking about making flyers when I opened the front door and heard Buster scrambling towards me from the kitchen. I was ecstatic, of course, but I couldn't wrap my head around how I could have missed him. I let Buster sleep in the bed with me that night. In hindsight, it was a huge mistake, but it made me feel better at the time. Things picked up at work, though, and I soon forgot all about the strangeness surrounding this house. Clients called me constantly, but were getting a lot done, and I landed multiple contracts in a row. I was working around the clock, but I knew I'd be due for a big promotion once I returned home to the home office. Several times I get lost in a phone call or spreadsheet and suddenly find that it was nighttime. I'd be so absorbed with work that I would block out Buster winding for food to go outside. I started to set alarms to keep track, but I had too many important clients to slow down. I was on top of the world, but my health was starting to suffer. I'd forget to eat and even sleep sometimes. There was always something else or someone else to talk to. I even got better at taking care of Buster, better than I was taking care of myself at least. Then my good mood ended with a bang. Literally, Buster was winding behind me as I finished another spreadsheet. Then we both heard a door slam upstairs. For the first time since I brought him inside, Buster ran upstairs by himself. I almost called the cops, but I felt silly with the phone in my hand. I started to doubt I heard anything at all. And if there was an intruder, surely Buster would have been making more noise. So I mustered all the courage I could manage and creep upstairs with a frying pan as my weapon. It was dark upstairs, but enough moonlight was coming through from the downstairs windows enough for me to make out Buster standing in front of the bathroom. I had purposely closed every door when I came through here, looking for the lost dog. But now this door was wide open. I flipped on the hallway light, but nothing happened. With no better ideas, I raised my frying pan, walked slowly to the bathroom. There was no window in here, so it was pure darkness inside. I was terrified. Bizarrely, Buster just looked frozen. His tail stood straight up, and he just stood there, pointed towards the door. I tried to take it as a good sign that he wasn't barking. That's what finally got me through the threshold and into the bathroom. The whole time, my eyes had been getting used to the darkness, and the bathroom was too small for there to be anyone there without me noticing. I started to relax when I took a step into something sticky. I suddenly realized that I had my cell phone in my pocket. I pulled it out and turned on some light to the floor. I immediately dropped it at the sight of bright red liquid surrounding my feet. I fled upstairs and this triggered Buster to follow. This time I had no trouble calling the police. Thankfully, there was already a patrol car nearby, so 2 officers arrived within minutes. 3 powerful flashlights cut through the darkness like thieves and knives, but they soon found nothing was wrong with the upstairs lights. Something did appear to be wrong with my pipes, though. Oh, I'm scared, guys. I'm scared. Something did appear to be wrong with my pipes, though, as they called out from above the puddle was just rusty water. Because of their insistence, I climbed up the stairs again and clearly saw a muddy brown puddle in the bathroom. The banging must have been from the pipe breaking. Both cops had a laugh at my expense, but were otherwise understanding. They gave me a number of good plumber through my cell phone was ruined after I dropped and left it in the puddle. I would have to use a landline from the kitchen now. I let them out and promised to call the plumber first thing in the morning. Yet, as exhausted as I was, I couldn't go to sleep over the excitement, so I stayed up to drop some more important documents for my company. Before I knew it, Buster had made another mess in the living room. I was dead tired and said something to Buster that maybe I shouldn't have. And I did some things to him that I know I really shouldn't have. I decided to do something about the stress I had been under and spoke to my supervisor that same morning. To my surprise, they were happy to let me have the week off and sort of a mental vacation. Just like that, all of my outstanding work was taken away. With nothing else to do, I tried to focus on Buster. I played games with him, fed him a bunch of treats to make up for my earlier neglect. Then I found a first message. I didn't notice it for some time since I had been avoiding the second floor, but I realized that I hadn't actually called the plumber. Before doing so, I went upstairs to see if things had gotten any worse. Instead, I immediately saw a message written in red on the hallway wall. It read, "Losing your mind?" For a second, I kinda did. I was scared to death at the thought that someone had have to sneak into my house while I was there, probably when I was sleeping. I won't bear repeating everything I said or did right after. Let's just say I hadn't become any braver since the banging. Eventually, I unlocked my bedroom door, made my way to the kitchen, with Buster leading the way. I called the police again. Those same two officers were able to show up, and then slowly we cleared every inch of the house. Yet, we found no one. Everything was locked, no sign of forced entry. Now, before we continue this story, I just would like to say if that was happening to me, guys, I would be out. I would be out. I don't even think you necessarily, like, to sell a home, do you necessarily have to live in said home? Well, I get it because, like, money, you don't want to have a hotel. Like, I guess you kind of have to be in the area, but I low-key don't think you necessarily have to be in the said area. Like, you could sell that home from your home and have the realtor take care of most things, even though said that would cost money. I understand, but honestly, if this stuff is happening, like, okay, I get like the plumbing issues, but if you see a message on there, I am not searching the house with the cops. The cops are searching the house. I am not anywhere near the house. I will not step foot in that house other than the cops being the ones like taking care of everything because ain't no way. And Buster, honestly, Buster is a trooper because Buster went upstairs. My dog, when he is scared, sorry, my dog, when he is scared, literally, he'll bark. But when he notices that, like, I'm not scared, or if he notices that I'm scared, I think it freaks him out way more and he just starts going away. Like, he will not go to the area that he is afraid of. Like, when I was younger, I used to be really scared of my mother's bedroom because, like, that bedroom, it's just, my room has a lot of light and my brother's room doesn't have a lot of light, but, like, he actively chooses for it not to have light. My mother's room just naturally does not have a lot of light. And I don't know why. She used to have like two mirrors facing each other. It was just a whole thing to me. Like, I've always been superstitious. I've always been like, hell no. Like, you are not having two mirrors facing each other. And so when I would try to like go into her room to maybe like drop off her clothes, because I do the laundry, to drop off her clothes, I'd be terrified and I would try to get my dogs to come in the room with me. And at first, they did. At first, every time I called my dog to go into the room with me, he would, because he's a trooper. But then at a point, one time I was trying to go into the room and I felt an energy was off. Like, not how I was scared before and superstitious. I felt that the energy was off. Like, I should not be entering that room. And lucky not, my dog also refused to enter. And so I rushed in, dropped the clothes off, and ran out. But I felt like I had done something horrible when I did that. And after that, I was like, if my dog does not want to enter said room, or I feel the energy is off, no, Jose, I am not going into that room. Like, I'm not really an animal person, but I think that is one reason why I will probably always have an animal on my side. Like, I will always have a dog or a cat, like, just something to make peace of my mind that I am not going crazy alone. Okay, let's continue. The police actually took me seriously, something that had belittled me at the time, and admitted that this isn't the first house in this neighborhood to experience this. There had been a series of break ins where nothing was stolen, but the police officers still offered to have a car sit outside for the night. Even though I took them up on this, I soon realized that I never get sleep tonight in this house. So I called my only friend in town, and really in the whole state, an old college roommate who coincidentally lived 30 minutes away. He offered to pick me and Buster up in a few hours, so I busied myself with packing up my suitcase. I didn't know how long I would need, so I pretty much packed everything I had brought with me to this house in the first place. I left my room to pick up some doggy toys when my friend called to say he was waiting outside. I decided to hang up the phone and meet him immediately. I needed the human company, and he could help me move my stuff. But the driveway was empty. Ooh! I just got chills. I'm sorry, guys. I just got chills. Sorry. I got scared. I'm sorry. But the driveway was empty. There was no friend, no car. I called him back immediately, and he insisted he was outside. I listened to him get out of his car and walk up to the front door. He knocked, and I could hear the door open and an elderly woman greet him. Guys, I'm kind of crying. I'm kind of crying. I'm sorry. I'm like crying. At first, I am gonna tell you guys a little bit of lore before we finish the story because I feel like it's kind of important to the story. So I was not going to read this story. I kept clicking off, and I kept trying to click a different story, but for some reason my laptop would not let me click anything other than this story. So I was like, well, I guess the story has to be heard, I guess. And believe it or not, I believe the story had to be heard. I believe the story had to be heard because what is going on? What is going on? I don't mean to have meaningless commentary, but I am starting to tear up, and I needed a little breather. I believe maybe the audience needed a little let's okay. Um I have heard a lot about alternate like universes, and I wouldn't say it is my greatest fear per se, but it is top 10 fears of mine to be like, because I experience sleep paralysis and a lot of dreams where I'm in my world, but I'm not. And to be in your world, but not be able to see people around you is terrifying. Or to be in your world, but it's actually not your world and nobody you knew before like exist in this timeline. Like it's just alternate universes, and like you being stuck in like the Matrix, terrifying. That whole experience terrifying because it's like, what am I meant to do? What am I meant to experience? What am I meant to do about this? Nothing. There's apps like I don't know how you can beat like a Matrix. I don't know how you can come back to your own reality unless you like go to sleep and hopefully like you wake up in your original reality and like it was all a dream. Like I feel like that's the only way you can beat that type of Matrix. Anyway, we will continue because I do not mean to ramble about we'll keep some of the stuff till the end. Okay. My friend asked for my name and mentioned my uncle. The woman said she had never heard of either of us. After thanking her, my friend left and asked me if I had gotten all of that. I told him I must have given him the wrong address. He rattled off the correct one and confirmed he was there. After asking me to wait and I left the house again. I walked out to the street and looked back at the numbers written on the curb on the mailbox. Only there weren't any numbers, just a message. Losing your mind? On the curb, written in red. The temptation to leave right away was great. I could just start walking and never stop, but I had to get my stuff and, more importantly, Buster. So I entered the house one last time. When I came back to the room, my suitcase was empty. Everything I had spent the last hour packing up was in its proper place. Don't message me while I'm doing this episode, guys. Despite how impossible this was, I focused on only one goal. We needed to leave. I put a leash on Buster and was shocked to see how haggard he was. I resolved to make it up to him when this was all over. I tried to leave out of the front door like nothing was wrong, but I couldn't open it. The knob turned freely, but the deadbolt wouldn't slide back. I was really scared now, but Buster's presence helped. I knelt down to him to give him a hug, and he gave me an idea while licking my face. Whatever was happening, it sure wasn't the result of a maniac hiding in the house. Still, I didn't know what forces were actually opposing me. Ooh, why is it so cold, y'all? I'm freaking out. My air conditioning, I need a heater, okay? Still, I didn't know what forces were actually opposing me, so I walked to the backyard and said loudly, "Well, Buster, time for a walk." The glass door slid open easily. Buster bounded out happily. I guess it had been a long time since I let him outside. I followed more attentively, and for the first time, examined the backyard closely. There was an iron fence surrounding the yard, with another space between the bars that Buster could slide through. And then I saw it. A tree that grew too close to the fence and had several branches extending through and above it. I assumed the gate would supernaturally lock too, so this was my exit. Buster didn't need any prodding. He waited patiently for me on the other side as I painfully pulled myself up over the fence. I was suddenly aware of how weak and tired my current lifestyle had made me. When I was in the process of climbing down the tree on the other side, Buster growled once and then took off like a shot nearby to a hill. I jumped down and gave chase. He disappeared over the top, and I scrambled to keep an eye on him on the surprisingly steep surface. Surprisingly, I found where someone had laid some stone bricks into the side for an easy way up. It was still steep enough that I had focus on placing my feet correctly to keep from sliding, so I was looking down when my next reach up resulted in my hand grabbing the carpet. Confused, I look up to see a second floor landing. I looked down to see the rest of the stairs that led to the entrance hall and living room of the house. Buster was nowhere to be found. Demoralized and dead tired, I crawled to the final steps and just sat on the landing for a while, occasionally calling for Buster. Eventually, the kitchen phone rang. Whatever ghosts were messing with me, I realized they couldn't stop outside forces from helping. I tumbled down the stairs in my haste and landed so hard on the cold tiles below. But I was only dazed for a second and soon was in the kitchen with the phone in my hand. My wife's warm voice filled me with hope. She was concerned that she hadn't heard from me in a while. I couldn't recall the last time I had called or even tried. She was trying to tell me that my work hadn't heard from me in a week, while I tried to tell her to call the police. Her words gave me a pause, though. I asked, "What do you mean?" I was given a week off. Oh, my brawls? Okay. For people listening, I'm sorry. For people watching, I can explain. So my mirror has my bras on the side of it, like on both sides, and for some reason it keeps freaking me out because the room is dark right now, so I can't necessarily see behind me because my eyesight is not super great. And so like I just see like my bras and it looks like a shadow, but it's just my bras, and I literally just I keep freaking out, and I apologize. And I do want to touch on this a little bit. I like how it says, I like this story a lot because it's like outside forces. Like, I like how the outside forces are still so prevalent in this like universe. Like, you can get phone calls still. You can still hear like doors closing and opening. I like that because it's like, it's like such another scary factor to know that you can get back to your real world. You just don't know how yet. And I feel like that's so terrifying but so like hopeful at the same time, where it makes us a very good like horror factor to know that like everything that you had in life is still there waiting for you. Like you can still get it back if you just keep going, keep pushing, keep having hope. And I'm like, I love that trope in horror because it's like it's so terrifying to think that you are just stuck, but you're not actually stuck. You can reach the end. Okay, I'll continue. She was trying to tell me that my work hadn't heard from me in a week, while I tried to tell her to call the police. Her words gave me a pause, though. I asked, "What do you mean?" I was given the week off. "Dear, I thought you were supposed to continue working as soon as you got there." Yeah, but they gave me a week off because of all the stress I've been under." "Wait a second. How long have I been out here?" "Honey, you've been gone for almost 9 days now." My stomach stunk, but I didn't hesitate to say, "Listen, you need to call the police. Something is wrong. I think I'm having a medical emergency." I had just been trying to come up with an excuse to limit the amount of follow-up questions, but I ended up realizing that this was most likely the explanation. Maybe I was suffering from a gas leak or a brain tumor. Ironically, either one of those options seemed preferable than living in a haunted house. My wife asked, "Baby, what's wrong? Are you okay?" I thought I saw a shadow move out of the corner of my eye as I answered, "Yes, I'm okay. But no, I need help. There's something wrong about this house." "You aren't making any sense. Just listen to me. Call the police and tell him my uncle's name. Tell them to come to this house and an ambulance might be needed. Please help me." "Please help you? Pretty please with the cherry on top?" I stared at the phone in my hand as my wife's voice continued to come out of it. It sounded like her, but in a mocking tone. I've never actually heard from her before. Y'all, it's time to cry. It's time to cry because now this is my worst fear. Okay? At first I was like, I'm gonna turn on my TV just to not creep me out further. I would love to be scared with y'all. I really would, but my TV can solve some of my scaredness. Okay. One of my biggest fears is like mimic stuff. Like, I wouldn't even say it's like the biggest fear I have. It's more just like it's a trick. They trick you. And this is okay. Like, his wife, it's clearly not his wife, Which I guess I should have put two and two earlier when he heard the phone call while looking in this like different world, because it's a different world. We can all admit that he's not in his original timeline, original world right now. He's in a different alternate universe. I guess we can agree on that. For the wife to call in this universe, I thought it was like a beacon of hope, especially because like, oh, you can still get phone calls. That means you can still escape because you can still like the ghost didn't have power on the outside forces like of the world, like having phone calls or like the friend trying to look at him. And it's like now I'm a little confused because now I'm like, is he even in the home? Like, did he even make it to the home? I guess it could be something wrong with the home, but like, I don't get why the creature or whatever would try to convince him that it's only been 9 days when he's been convinced it's been a month. Like, it's been a month in this home. And I'm like confused why he would try to convince it's been a shorter time. I would assume you would try to convince them it's been longer. Like, nobody would be looking for them and to like try to make them like give up hope. Because that's how I would do it. I would make them like think they've been gone longer to try to make them give up any sign of hope and like want to escape. You know, like they would just like, that would make them the most vulnerable. Because if they've only been gone for like 9 days, wouldn't they just like, I don't know, they wouldn't give up hope yet. It's been 9 days. It hasn't been like a month. It hasn't been like a year. Like, people didn't stop losing hope to find them. Like, they're still gonna keep trying to escape. And I feel like the most emotional vulnerability would be like, you've been gone a year. You've been gone 2 years. You've been gone 5 years. Nobody's looking for you now. We got a divorce. You know, something like that where it'd be like, we have a divorce, don't you remember? And like really messing up with their brain, like, or being like, oh yeah, your daughter died. She's alive. She's alive in the real world, but in his head now, she's dead. Like something like that to like really make them emotionally vulnerable. Cause I feel like, isn't that what you need? Anyway, let's continue the story. Sorry, I got a little sidetracked. It sounded like her, but in a mocking tone I've never actually heard from her before. She said, "Does your tummy hurt? When was the last time you ate? I wonder what Buster tastes like." Oh, that's crazy. I slammed the phone down, but whatever it was on the other side was right. My stomach was hurting. I couldn't remember the last time I had eaten. On cue, I hear Buster whining from upstairs. Only after I started running towards the stairs did I notice just how bruised and sore my legs were from my spill down those steps. I pushed through the pain and climbed the stairs yet again. Buster was back in the front room, in the bathroom, lying on his side and looking thinner than I had ever seen him. "Losing your mind" was written all over the hallway now, including on the ceiling and floor. I no longer had any doubt. The messages were written in blood. Some were still dripping. I walked over and picked up Buster while a banging started at my front door. I would have jumped if Buster hadn't been weighing me down. I heard the front door open, and whoever it was identified themselves as the police. I even recognized the voice belonging to one of the officers who had previously visited. Why can't I remember his name? After calling out that I was out, sorry. After calling out that I was upstairs, I turned with Buster and found the hallway stretched before me, many times its original length. Despite how thin he looked, Buster felt heavier than before. I knew this was all just some sort of trick to get me in touch with the police officer. I thought I had really been talking to my wife. She had come through with calling the police, and the ghost just distorted the end of the call. So I started my trek back to the stairs and shuffled my feet as fast as I could, yelling all the way down. But then a voice answered the police officer. A woman's voice. my wife's voice. I could hear her say, "I'm sorry. My husband wasn't feeling well. He's resting in the bathroom. Can I help you?" I screamed as loud as I could to get their attention, but it was no use. I heard the officer say, "I'd like to check up on him all the same." "Sure, sure, come in. He's right through here." It was right out of a nightmare. I was sweating profusely, while every step seemed to get me nowhere. I just tried to speed up, but the hallway just stretched further, and then I heard a man's blood-curdling scream from downstairs. Suddenly, the hallway snapped back, and I found myself somehow right on top of the stairs. My momentum couldn't be stopped. I fell down the stairs and landed hard on top of Buster. He howled in pain, but at least he was alive. I saw a long, thick trail of blood go around the corner and under my closed bedroom door. There was still a shadow of something under the door. I painfully crept to the kitchen and grabbed my thirsty frying pan before making my way back to the bedroom door. As quietly as I could, my eyes watched the moving shadows nervously. Whatever was waiting there for me had killed a man. That meant it could kill me. But if it could have a physical impact, then surely it would have been susceptible to a physical impact too. So I raised the frying pan and slowly started to turn the handle. Before I made much progress, the door flew open on its own. Something turned suddenly to me. I swung my frying pan down. The cop stood before me, a smile frozen on his face. We both looked down at this knife plunged into his chest. My hand was wrapped around the handle. He fell to the side. I fell backwards to sit heavily on the now clean floor. I was positive I had picked up the frying pan. I could remember its weight, but now I also remember going to the kitchen and pulling out the knife. I seriously wondered if I was losing my mind. I looked down to find the knife in my hands again. I dropped it at once and crawled back to check on Buster. He wasn't moving. I put my head on his flank and was devastated to feel he was still warm, but not breathing. I didn't know what to do, so I did nothing. I did nothing for a long time. I was lethargic, but somehow made it to the couch in the living room. I waited there until nightfall and then slept on the couch. When I woke up, I waited some more time. I wasn't sure what I was waiting for, but nothing horrible was happening to me while I waited. I wasn't in a hurry to change that. But the bodies of Buster and the cop were still there. I needed to do something. My stomach rumbled as I got out the couch. That was another problem with just staying put. First things first, I found a shovel in an outdoor closet attached to the backyard porch. Digging the hole was exhausting, so I settled to just burying Buster now. I planned on getting the cop after finding something to eat. I picked up Buster and carried him outside. His fur was still so warm. It was hard to believe he was gone, but there was no life behind his big brown eyes. I gently laid him down in the hole and got to work. Some time later, I wandered into the kitchen and rattled off to the pantry. The house was quiet apart from my efforts. Whenever I stopped moving, the silence was complete. I wondered if the ghost had just been trying to make me a murderer after all. Now that their goal had been met, maybe they would leave me alone for a while. Just in time. I was starving and didn't need any more distractions. I opened a box of cereal and had a handful to my lips. When I paused, how could I tell I was actually eating what I was looking at? What if I had actually been opening a box of rat poison? I still wasn't sure what the ghosts were capable of. I imagined the food turning into worms after it was already in my mouth. With that thought, I threw the cereal to the ground and stomped off, no longer hungry. I needed to concentrate my efforts on leaving this place. Right on cue, I walked by the front door. It was wide open. Okay, so I would like to say, if I were to find that I am such in a state where nothing around me is real, which honestly, like, a lot of supernatural stuff happens. Like, yes, I do believe, but also I believe in mental illness. I believe in brain tumors. I believe in gas leaks. And it's like, for this to happen, like, yeah, sure, it could be supernatural, whatever. But like in real life, it would probably be like a gas leak. Like this was a gas leak in the house. Like since like we already know that there was a plumbing problem in the house, I'm assuming that that part is true. I'm assuming that the plumbing problem earlier in the story is still a true statement of the story. Like, since it's like he's an unreliable narrator as of now because we don't know if what he's seeing is actually real or if it's a figment of his imagination or if it's ghost. We don't know. We don't know. But in my mind, the plumbing at the beginning of the story is true. Okay. That is all true to me. And that means to me that there is a possible gas leak in the story as well. Because if the house already had a problem, I'm assuming it probably has multiple issues, including the gas leak. And I'm like, Buster is probably not real. Buster is probably not real. Let's be honest. Um, I think I might have spoiled myself because I'm pretty sure like I looked at a comment. Like I did not read the story at all. This is not what I was expecting at all from a title of this is a like that's not what I was expecting. But I'm assuming, like, let's just make some theories. I'm assuming Buster is fake. Like I'm assuming he's imaginary, especially because like Buster was given to him, I believe, like from the old lady, and the old lady claimed to not know who he was, which I have no I don't know if the friend is even real. Like let's be honest, like I don't know, but I do think the friend is low-key real. I think the old woman is real. Um or like she might be fake. I don't know. I don't know. My theory is just Buster is not real. That's my theory. I don't believe he like killed Buster. I don't even know if he killed the cop. I'm choosing to believe he didn't because like I don't know. I'm just choosing to believe even if he did, it was due to mental insanity, not like he straight up tried to murder the cop, like mental insanity. That's what I believe. I believe in court innocent because of mental insanity. I don't know. I don't know how that freaking works, but that's what I believe. Let's continue because I'm scared. Oh, and also if I saw the front door open, I think I would give up. I wouldn't give up, but I feel like in this scenario for me, it would be very hard for me to keep hope because there is just no way in heck that I am surviving. And story one of this episode is probably the only story of this episode, just so y'all know, because this is a long story. I didn't realize how long it was. I apologize. Okay. Right on cue, I walked by the front door. It was wide open. Instinctively, I made a leap for it before stopping with my outstretched hand, and just a foot short of the door. This had to be another trick. I could see the door slamming shut in my face, even taking a few of my fingers with it. I could feel a breeze enter the house, but I was too scared to move. This was the most impossible situation I had ever been in or ever heard of. All of my senses had all of my senses had failed me before. However, my need for freedom eventually caused my feet to move. Upon slowly exiting the house, I saw the cop car just sitting in my driveway. The door was unlocked and the keys were sitting in the front seat. My mind went to wild things trying to explain the situation. Maybe the cop was secretly a murderer and had killed previous owners of this house. Maybe his sacrifice helped them move on. I couldn't think of any other explanation for my good luck at the time, so I just pushed my misgivings down and got in. I drove out the neighborhood without incident, but I had a new problem. I was unfamiliar city, driving a cop car with no money and other belongings on me. I had no idea what to do next, so I kept driving. It felt good to be free of that house. It felt good to see the sun. So I kept driving, on and on. Left turn, right turn, left turn, right turn. No idea where I'm going. And then I realized I hadn't seen any cars on the road for a while. Where was everyone? Where was I? The sinking feeling happened again in the pit of my stomach, but also around my whole body. I sunk back into the car seat and then realized I was sitting in an armchair, back in the living room of my uncle's house. My arms were up like I was sitting, still holding on to the steering wheel. I started to cry with frustration as I stood up and screamed. How long had I been sitting there with a stupid grin, moving my arms up and down like a madman? I turned around and saw my work laptop on the dining room table. It was glowing on and glowing at me. I walked over to see it and saw something already written down in the post. It read, "Lost your mind? Good. Now, you won't mind losing the rest." Suddenly, my fist felt weighed down. I raised it to find another kitchen knife in my hand. I dropped it immediately. I erased the message and started to type out a request for help. I ignored the scream and just focused on the keys, but I kept hitting them wrong and another message slowly formed. "I'm sorry I've disappointed you all. For the last time, goodbye." I could have screamed again, but I noticed something had changed. I wasn't in the dining room anymore. I was in the study. I kept writing and writing and writing. My own words started to come out. I have sent out emails requesting for help. I posted on the local police department's Facebook for assistance. And I've just tried to keep writing no matter what. This is my last attempt to keep my sanity. Whenever I've tried to break, I find myself in a new room with new horrors descending on me. Once I opened the study door out to a hellish landscape and almost stepped out onto lava. I wasn't sure if it was all an illusion, but I didn't even want to have a vision of my feet burning. So I closed the door and resumed writing. I'm not even sure if this is all because of Ghost. I've been doing a lot of thinking lately, and the truth is simply, I have no idea what's going on. As I've gone over these crazy events, I've realized that I can't recall my uncle's name or what he looked like. I'm not even sure I ever had an uncle. I'm trying to think really hard about what or how I came here. Did I fly? Drive? I can't remember. Have I always just been here? Even weirder, I can't remember my realtor's name or even what gender they are. I've met them in person several times, but why don't I know things I should? I can't even remember the names of my daughter or my wife. Am I even a father? Am I even a person? I know I must be because I am here writing in the small study. But now that is all I think about. I can't remember who my parents are, what they look like, or anything about my childhood. Now I just remember this house and all the nightmares, waking and otherwise, I've experienced here. I'm feeling a lot like I was back in the cop car. I found my way forward, but I don't know what to do next. This is not a way to live, and now I'm just getting more and more tired. I'm so hungry. I'm finding it harder to focus. I got scared again, sorry. I'm so hungry, and I'm starting to find it harder to focus. I keep hearing voices, and they're getting louder. I know if I stopped writing, I won't last long, but I'm running out of ideas and things to say. My hands are tired. I'm tired, so tired. I don't know how to say that. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. The quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dogs. I need to keep writing, but I don't know what to say anymore. What's my name? I don't know. I'll die if I stop writing. I'll die if I stop working. A, B, C, E, R, G, H, I, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, A, N, D, Z. The W quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dogs. Dogs, Buster, I miss Buster. I wish I could pet him one last time. But was he ever even real? Is anything? I am so tired, so hungry. I need to focus. The quick brown fox jumped over the lazy goodbye. The quick brown, I'm sorry, jumped over, pointed, you lazy dog, goodbye. I jumped. The last lazy dog, I'm sorry, jumped over, disappointed, you lazy, for the last lazy dogs, goodbye. I'm sorry I've disappointed you all. For the last time, goodbye. And that's the end of the story. Y'all, what was that? What was that? That was a very long story. I didn't know that I would be reading for an hour, but here I am, 51 minutes in. Also, I would like to tell you guys about Do Not Disturb. Do Not Disturb is going to be like, we'll be reading scary stories, creepypastas, true crimes, all of that on here. It is going to be more podcast styled, so not a lot of editing. There will be some editing, like maybe some clips and stuff, but not a lot of editing since it is a podcast. And let's just read the comments because I am very curious to see other people's theories. My final theory is that none of this is real. Well, duh, like it's a story. Whatever, that's not what I mean. I mean, in the story's context, I believe that I don't even think it's supernatural. I don't think it's supernatural. I know that it's supposed to be supernatural. I think even in the story's context that it is meant to be like he probably has like a mental illness that he does not know about. I don't know if any of his past life was even real. I'm just going to say that now. I don't think anything he experienced before was real because I think he's living in a mind, like he might be in a coma. That's honestly possible, especially if like the him falling down the stairs part is real, because he might have fallen down the stairs and his mind is trying to compensate for that and like make up things that happened, but like he really just fell down the stairs. Like I do think the uncle's house is probably real because I like do believe he traveled there. Like I just don't think the beginning of the story makes sense. I don't know. Let's just hear what the comments have to say and we'll see. Just so y'all know, I'm flinging this mic around because it's decor. I'm not using the mic. I'm not using the microphone. I know. I'm just a teenage girl. I'm using my phone, but let's just be. Top comment. How do I know that this isn't real? This type of thing has to be my worst nightmare. Hashtag RIP Buster. Oh, okay. This is a comment from OP. I'm a good dog. I know I am. I let my human sleep and work, and I only bother him when I must. I wish he fed me more. I wish he took me out more, but he's my human and I love him. If only I could help him. He's not well. He keeps talking to himself, to the walls. I watch him run up and down the stairs. I watch him walk in circles. I watch him try so hard to get back to where he started. Sometimes he doesn't hear me, no matter how much noise I make. I wonder what's wrong with him. Today he fell down the stairs. Then he just opened his bedroom door and fell down in front of it, too. I'm starting to get really worried about him. He came over and cried while laying his head down on me. I tried to be the best pillow I could for him. Then he dug a hole, bigger than any bone I've ever seen. When he was done, he came over to get me, gave me a big hug. This made me very happy, but then he took me outside, laid me in the hole. I'm a good dog, so I stayed right where he put me. My human started to fill the hole with dirt. I think he lost sight of me again because he kept hitting me with shovels. No matter where I tried to stay put. I didn't want to mess up what he was doing. Now that I think about it, he must have realized he couldn't take care of me. He was just doing what I did with bones to save them later. It made me so happy to know he wanted to save me for later. But because I'm living reasonably intellectual creature, I ended up hopping out of the hole before it got too dangerous. My human didn't notice and kept shoveling dirt into the hole. I'm not sure what's wrong with him, but it's clear that he needs some space. Until my human feels better, I'll just hang out in the nearby woods, which are stocked with everything I need to live a long and happy life, just in case. OP. I would like to say, OP, you ate that up. You ate the dog's monologue up. You ate the inner dialogue of the dog up. And I feel like that's everything I needed to, feel myself so much better. That's everything I needed to feel so much better about the story. Because I was just like, I don't know if Buster was real. But that is a good, OP added a good layer to this now. Now I can make a final, theory. Buster is real. The house is real. But the superstitious side of the house is not real. I believe the owner is generally just mentally unwell. I don't think it's some worst nightmare scenario where you have to be scared it's happening to you, other than I believe he might have a brain tumor, in the context of the story. I know it's not real, whatever. I believe he probably has a brain tumor that is causing him to think this way, be this way, whatever. And so I believe Buster is probably real, and I'm glad that the OP did that little monologue, because okay, Buster's real, and now we have the context that yeah, nothing is supernatural happening. It's just the owner is the problem here. The owner is the one that has a mental illness, brain tumor, some underlying health issue, and he needs help. I wish that maybe if there was a part 2, Buster went and helped out the owner and went to the old lady's house or something. I don't know. I'm glad. Okay, let's read another comment. Okay, everything's about Buster right now. Okay, someone said this is amazingly written. I was captivated, intrigued. Yes. Oh. Okay. 6 years ago, Rain Man 0919. Oh my gosh. The best one in the sub. Wait, is this true? Are you typing this right now from your laptop? Have you come back to your senses? I have many questions, but still amazing story. This was awesome. A lot of it is just saying how awesome this story was. Since it was 5 or 6 years ago, a lot of people are asking if it's real, which I love when people do that. They're like, oh, is this story real? Is this story real? And it's no, it's not. It's not real. It's not a real story. Sorry to inform you. But that was so good. I absolutely love this story. I am so glad we read it. I'm glad. I don't know. Sorry, I got a text message. I am so glad we read this story together. I hope you enjoyed the first episode of Do Not Disturb. Hopefully come back next week. We will be posting them. I don't know what day of this week it is, but we will post them every day of. We will be posting weekly. This is a weekly podcast, okay? This is a weekly thing. This is episode 1. That's all I have to say about that. Please recommend stories, creepypastas, true crimes that you would like me to read, deep dive into, on this show. This show is, I'm pretty excited about it. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and please stay tuned for next week. Well, goodbye. I hope you enjoyed and have a good night's rest.